So, the other day, someone asked me if I was an optimist. This is a dear friend, and I don't know, I kind of had to ask myself, an optimist. I don't know. I mean, in my mind, I thought an optimist was somebody who was all like, they could stand in the middle of a burning building in a war zone and say, "Oh, look, everything's just fine. It's fine." It's like, "Hey, Pollyanna, here's a fire extinguisher." I don't know if I was an optimist. I mean, I know I wasn't a pessimist, like Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street. That guy's a pessimist. He's always looking for something to complain about, like crummy weather, scram. I gotta chill this hot chocolate down so it tastes good and yucky. I don't know. Optimist kind of threw me for a loop, but I did start asking myself, how do you feel? Do you feel hopeful? And I can get on with that. I think I'm a hopeful person, even when things are crappy. Like, even in the middle of this crappy pandemic, I still feel some hope. Even now, when we're trying to figure out new ways to cope with what's happening and build community together. I think we're all looking forward with hope to what might happen when the dumpster fire known as 2020 comes to a close. Today is the third Sunday of Advent, that preparation time for Christmas. And this is the day that's known as Gaudete Sunday. And it's signified by a pink candle on our Advent wreath. It's the third candle, the pink one, not the purple ones. At my last church, I used to have this big fancy pink stole and a pink chasuble that only got to be worn this one Sunday out of the year. I just got my blue one today. That works though. Anyway, the point of Gaudete Sunday is to take a little bit of a break from all this introspection and penitence that we've been doing during Advent. We've been looking inwardly and with depth, but now we want to look outwardly with some joy on this Sunday. This is called the Sunday of Joy. Be joyful. Yes, now, in the middle of a global pandemic, when so many of us are out of work, it's getting cold, can't go anywhere, we can't do nothing, but we're supposed to be hopeful. One of my favorite theologians is this guy named Henry Nouwen, and he described the difference between joy and happiness. He said that happiness is really dependent on these external conditions, but joy is that experience of really knowing that you are unconditionally loved and that nothing, not sickness, not failure, not emotional distress, oppression, war, even death can shake that love away. He says that joy can even be present in the midst of sadness. Today we heard a passage from a letter that the Apostle Paul wrote to the people in a Greek town called Thessalonica. He wrote them a letter of encouragement. And letters of encouragement can really make a difference. I remember this one time, I was a freshman in college, and my dad wrote me a letter of encouragement during my freshman year. And it was really moving. I mean, it came out of the blue. I don't think that I'd expressed anything in particular that had been difficult, but he knew that acclimating to change can be challenging. And whether I knew it or not, I needed that letter. It was really good to receive that. It was good to know that I was loved. He also included a can of sardines and some shaving cream. So, there was that too. But it was really the message that you got this. I think this is a little bit like Christmas cards. They have a tendency to cheer us up during this time of year. In a way, Christmas cards are like letters of encouragement. And this is exactly what Paul was writing to these folks in this little Greek town. He was giving them a strategy for remaining joyful in troubling times. He was asking a troubled people in a troubled time to rejoice. Think about that. Wow, things are crappy, but rejoice. You can be joyful. Rejoice always, he says, because all of us are loved. He reminded them to hold fast to that which is good, to not return evil for evil. And he encouraged them not to neglect the words of the prophets that give us hope. I know a lot of times we think about prophets, we think about like, oh, the building's going to crumble and, it's going to be a horrible time. But prophets also can bring us joy, not just lamentation about a dire future, but prophets can foretell us of immeasurable joys that are going to be coming our way. We just listened to Mary today. Mary, the mother of Jesus. As Eli chanted the Magnificat, we hear her response to the news that she's pregnant. Now consider her situation for a second. You got an unwed teenager living in a backwater that is occupied by an oppressive foreign army. She is poor. She is a peasant. I mean, life is hard, right? And now she's pregnant. And Mary doesn't hear this and go, oh man, my dad's going to kill me. I haven't even been messing around either. No, she doesn't say, oh no. She says, yes, but not just a yes, but a, oh yeah. Big yes. With the baby, this whole system's coming down. Things are about to get radical. And she knew it. And they did get radical. Things did get radical when God became incarnate as one of us, as a baby in this great cosmic solidarity. God came down to be with us, to fully understand what it's like to be a human being, not some petulant, punitive father figure in the sky, and not some human being living in a man either, but as a homeless man who openly and radically loved every single person he ever met, and then some. He loved us so much, he even willingly gave himself into the ultimate sacrifice. So yeah, things got radical. The lowly were lifted. The mighty were cast down from their thrones. The hungry were fed. The rich were sent away empty. He remembered his promise of mercy. And he still does today. I hope that my words today are a bit of a Christmas card of hope. I don't know, maybe I'm an optimist after all, but I know I am hopeful. I'm filled with the hope of what Jesus offered us. I'm filled with the hope of a better world that offers fulfillment to all people. There is joy in this world. We find it in the smallest of places, in the most unexpected encounters. It is a joy of the promise of a better tomorrow, a tomorrow that is replete with God's unending love for all of us, probably even Oscar the Grouch. Amen.